out in the woods today recording a short little video for Pastor Ryan. He wanted me to talk to you a little bit about how new life can result from death in nature and how things that are dead can turn into something new and vibrant, and feels really appropriate for Easter and for the new spring season we're getting into here. So death feels like a very final and very sad and mournful thing for a lot of us. But if it wasn't for death in nature, there would be absolutely no new life to speak of. While we see death as something that's very personal, especially if it's a death of a loved one, death of a family pet, or even if your favorite shade tree in your backyard gets knocked over during a windstorm. There's that sense of loss to it. But in the bigger picture, out in the great outdoors, there's always some new life that's either utilizing or springing out of some of the death that is a natural part of every ecosystem on the planet. So, when something dies in nature, it doesn't simply go away. There isn't a magic button where it turns into a fossil quickly or just vanishes. If something dies in nature, it provides nourishment for other things. So as it's decomposing or breaking down, it may serve as food for some predator or scavenger that might be able to take advantage of the recent death. It might just sit there and begin to what we would call rot, but really it's being broken down by any number of species of fungus or bacteria, mold, insects, worms. All sorts of different creatures make a living on breaking down and reusing what's already dead. So a lot of times it can be something like a tree gets broken down further and further into these very basic elements where we have all of these organic pieces that are slowly reincorporated into the soil, and out of that soil comes new plant life, and out of that new plant life can support all the other creatures that are found in our backyard, even support us. So out of these soils we have all of the raw elements and compounds that are needed to create new life. So your nitrogen, your phosphorus, your iron, calcium, all of these elements that are found in trees and in the soil get reused generation after generation with the assistance of all of these decomposers that break things down. One very vivid example of this can be found out in the Pacific Northwest. In these deciduous rainforests in the temperate climates in Washington and Oregon, they have very thin soils out there that don't naturally contain a ton of the nutrients they need. So a lot of times young saplings will simply grow out of the trunk of a fallen ancestor. So you have these nurse logs, as they're called, that literally have all of the nutrients that a tree will need to be able to grow. So these trees will literally serve as a foundation for these younger trees to literally stand on the older trees' shoulders, growing out of the nutrients and materials that these older trees have made. And a lot of times they come with a lot of protection against pathogens that the other tree may have survived, allowing the next generation to have that much better of a chance of survival. So without death in the natural world, we really would not have any sense of renewal. And out of death comes all the beautiful spring wildflowers, provide shelter for all the creatures that are out there, and it's a very Easter appropriate message. Hey everybody, so I just quick wanted to show you where I was recording this video from. Seems pretty appropriate for a discussion about decomposition. So As I was sitting on the log over here, you can see how the wood is slowly being broken apart. It's the elements, but you can see those little holes in there from some sort of small insect burrowing out of there, getting the nutrients. And I found a cool old tree limb over here to the next of us that at some point had some pretty serious woodpecker activity here. So the woodpecker is going inside and feeding on some of those bugs, and eventually when this tree fell down, it probably has provided shelter for potentially rodents or small amphibians or reptiles. And then you flip it over and you can see some of the small tiny little mites and sow bugs, as well as the plant roots that are probably going to make the next generation of plants that are in this forest here.